The Silent Hill Everyone Hated by Totally Pointless TV. Now, I have seen this before. With most of Totally Pointless TV's Silent Hill videos, there has been a pre-watch element to this. That being said, very much approaching this less as a, second monitor, kind of watching this, while playing something like Final Fantasy 14 or RuneScape or something, and very much more taking an active role in analysis, etc. So, figured I'd go ahead and disclose that first. That being said, as someone whose first game was Silent Hill 4: The Room, as somebody who's, heard a lot about Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, as well as the Western Silent Hills, which Downpour is one of them, it's going to be interesting to dive into this.
Silent Hill is phenomenal. A genre-defining franchise that has produced some of the most talked about and beloved works of horror in gaming.
I am. If you want me to be.
It also has one of the most polarizing histories out there. For every amazing decision Konami have made, there are an equal amount of controversies, from cancellations and bizarre spin-offs to the cursed pachinko machines. The highs and lows of this series are wild. With that said, today I want to talk about a little game called Silent Hill Downpour. Downpour is the lowest reviewed mainline entry, and it's often considered the worst Silent Hill.
Are you out of your mind?
This was a bit of a surprise to me because I actually liked the game. Sure, it has its flaws, but I couldn't understand why it received such low reviews across the board. Where did it go wrong? Was it the victim of being an average game in a franchise of such high esteem, or was there more to it? Well, let's take a closer look.
I think it's really interesting to consider, even a mid-entry in a prestigious franchise is still just tanks the franchise, right? Like, as somebody who enjoys Resident Evil 5 and 6, right? Like, look what Resident Evil 5 and 6 did to Resident Evil, right? I mean, they made the RE engine and they really course-corrected hard with 7, reintroduced a lot of the action elements with like 8 Village, right? Then we got, Resident Evil Requiem, which is very much, reprised Resident Evil 6. And it honestly, it did numbers. Clearly they're popular, right? But I think that's also a thing as well, right? I mean, how many times on YouTube do we see a creator who puts out amazing videos, but then they have one mid upload, right? Just because it's, I don't know, a subject people aren't interested in, or just it doesn't perform as well, and that can have an impact on their metrics and channel, right? It really is interesting to compare a mid entry in a list of giants. So I think that's an interesting point to consider.
Taking the role of Murphy Pendleton, Downpour begins in jail. It's clear we're playing as a criminal, but we're not given any indication as to what his crimes were. We're being escorted to the showers by one of our COs, a pleasant man named Sewell.
He's all yours now. Make it quick, Cupcake.
the model
almost
rotate.
Forgot. I left you a little present on the bench. Have fun.
When we arrive, it becomes clear that this is some form of setup. Someone is being sent to us, and to block the camera's view, we have to turn on all the showers, creating enough steam to hide our activity.
When did the Silent Hill movies come out? Because the movies were a product of the West, right? I don't think that they were Japanese, right? Like how, we have The Ring, but The Ring is based on Ringu, which is inherently Japanese, right? When did the Western Silent Hill films come out? Because, and I think this is definitely apparent with the next entry in Totally Pointless TV's library, the Pyramid Head showing up in Homecoming, which, we'll get there. I do not have fun. I do not have fond feelings about that. Very much it feels like they start taking from the movies. So even just in the intro here, I'm thinking about this, and I haven't before. If the movies came out in 2000, or the first movie came out in 2006, and the second one was about 2011, is there a reasonable assumption that instead of using the original core 4 games, that they're using the movie or movies plural as a basis for the Western Silent Hills? That might also actually explain some of the whole Silent Hill based on Centralia, Pennsylvania, which the original 4 were not. That was very much the movie being based off of Centralia, Pennsylvania, or at least mentioning it, right?
Once done, in comes human pug hybrid, one ugly son bitch.
You don't recognize me, do you?
What? No, Guard! Anybody?
We used to be neighbors.
There's history here. They know each other in some way. Something bad enough to merit Murphy pulling strings to be left alone with him.
He does very much look like a pug. I don't know how they managed it on this hardware. It's very impressive, though.
Jesus, help me!
Taking control, we have to savagely batter the man. And I think it's a great start. As well as explaining the combat mechanics, it sets the tone for what type of character we're playing as. The prisoner, Napier, he makes no effort to fight back. He just runs around meekly trying to escape. It's savage, a great start to a game based off of a town that punishes people for their own guilt.
Why?
You know exactly why.
He beat him with the can of axe. No, please, not like this.
Flash forward to some point in the future. The guard that facilitated our hit, he's escorting us out of the prison. We're being transferred to another facility.
Guess today's a big day, huh? Tell you the truth, I'm sort of sorry to see you go.
It's a great start to the game overall. It establishes moral ambiguity and leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions. Once we reach the front, Sewell says his goodbye.
Well, guess this is it. No fond farewell?
This man's eye shadow makes me think like he looks like G-Man.
And we board the transport bus. The officer handling the transfer takes particular interest in us.
Get on the bus.
The convoy speeds towards its destination, but of course, this is a Silent Hill game, not Prison Architect, so something had to go wrong. While traveling, Murphy gets a flashback of his past. We see a child and Murphy looking distressed before being sentenced to jail. It's all very interesting stuff.
Tell me something, puta. That true what I heard about you? Did you really do it?
Shut the hell up!
Fuck you, güero.
I said get up, damn it!
This commotion
I'm surprised. It's okay, it's in Spanish, so the rating board doesn't understand what they're saying. No, this is great.
causes the driver to take his eyes off the road for a mere second, resulting in your typical Silent Hill road time disaster.
I'm gonna be honest, at least as it's presented in a vacuum, I think it's a very strong opening. I think opening with the combat tutorial literally beating on this dude that you clearly have history with. I think that the way that it's presented to get you into Silent Hill, right? Going into the the crash, right? I think it's a really strong open. I think that it hits the right notes. I think that it's competently written. Now, if you've played the game, which I haven't, and you have a different take on this, or you think that it might be a little, maybe it's actually really weak and this is kind of the truncated, expedited version. I mean, that's totally fair. Like, in a vacuum as it's presented, something like this I view is a very strong opening. Call back to the first game, too. Yeah.
The bus has crashed and we're on our own. Looking around the area, we can't find anyone, not even a body. This doesn't make sense. A crash like this should leave a few bodies scattered around, but there's nothing. Clearly something dodgy is going on. With no better options, we head deeper into the woods with the intention of putting some distance between us and the crash.
Hello? Can anyone hear me?
I can see some Resident Evil isms here. Like, I mean, the log specifically is RE4 Remake, right? I mean, that happened way after this, right? But I feel like there's definitely some Resident Evil influence here.
We follow a quiet forest path, cross over a fallen tree, and just as we're about to reach the main road, we encounter the angry CO from earlier, Anne.
That's far enough. Get your ass down on the ground now.
She's under the impression we're trying to run away, which, of course, we were, but it's not going down a treat.
I was just looking for help.
And you just happened to lose your cuffs in the process? Save the bullshit.
Under gunpoint, she attempts to cross the ravine, inevitably resulting in a fall.
Shit!
Here we come face to face with Downpour's choice mechanics. Be nice or be a dick. Love a two-choice of QTE. I do. It really makes you feel immersed. I
feel like that's a Mass Effect thing, right? Because Mass Effect was a big trigger discipline. Contextually, it does make sense. Like, because of spoilers, it does make sense. Like, yes, trigger discipline, she should have her finger off that trigger. However, she fully intends to fire. That is something I think reasonably we could come to the conclusion of in the story. Yeah, Silent Hill, Resident Evil confused. There's differences between them. Resident Evil generally has been very much more action focused, where Silent Hill has been very much more psychological horror. I feel like, remember, Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 were big games. I know 3 soured it for a lot of people. I enjoyed 3. I enjoyed getting my synthesis ending. That being said, 3 definitely left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So I'm assuming this is about the area around, like, you know, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, peak BioWare, and their the Paragon Renegade system, right? So it actually does make sense in context why in this era we'd have a system like this. But the way it's presented just... it feels unnecessary.
I think having moral choices play out contextually is miles better than having a clear-cut good-bad choice. While she's falling, we should be able to walk over and help her up, or just turn around and leave the area, letting our actual actions dictate how good or bad we are. Of course, it doesn't matter. She falls even if we help. Really, worthwhile adding that choice, huh?
I'm going to be honest, and this is actually a huge turnoff for me specifically from games. If you give me a choice, Final Fantasy XIV kind of runs afoul of this. It just more is like a personality thing for your character, right? If you give me a choice and the outcome is the same, just don't give me the choice. Like Final Fantasy XIV, there's definitely like branching dialogue options, right? But as I said, it's mostly like it just adds flavor, right? One of the ones that I can the final battle of Stormblood Base, you're given a... like, I think it's like a set of 3 options. I'm trying to be vague on purpose for those who haven't played 14. And it's like, do you accept him? Do you reject him? Or do you just not say anything, right? And something like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because the outcome is the same regardless. The battle will ensue. It was a good battle. I've loved that character. Adore the character I'm talking about. Actually, one of my favorite characters. Just that whole arc was amazing, up through Endwalker. However, I ran into issue with it because the disparity between accept and reject is just so vast, right? So, like, if you're given dialogue options of like, and you go through the dialogue tree, and it's something along the lines of like, hey, let's go ahead and go out and do this quest, right? You're being told to do this, and you're presented with dialogue options of like, oh yeah, quest, and man, I guess we got to go farm for that, or kind of like a more passive response is the third option. Generally, all of these will contextually feed into the final option of you're doing the quest, right? You're going to do the quest, it's going to happen, right? But when you're given choices, even like I was describing in 14 with that specific character, I run into issues because at that point it makes it feel like I don't really matter, if that makes sense. The story will continue regardless. I'm kind of on the roller coaster going through the theme park. So something like this, I view as a little egregious personally, because, save her, let her fall. Oh, by the way, just let her fall regardless, right? Why is the choice system present, right? What is the reason for the choice system even being there, right? Maybe it affects something at the end of the game. I don't know. Maybe it builds good boy points or bad boy points, right? By the decisions you make, a la Mass Effect Paragon Renegade system, right? I couldn't tell you personally in this game. I just don't know. I think that having things be contextual is great, but I think it's a hard sell in the modern gaming environment. Because, like, I haven't played through the original Resident Evil 3, but Resident Evil 3 Remake, I did love my time playing it, because we played it on stream. It's over on the gaming channel, right? I uploaded the VODs. It very much felt like a theme park in a lot of ways. Like, you were touring through a theme park, got ganked by Nemesis's flamethrower a couple times, and it's like, do you want to play on an easier difficulty? I'm like, no, let me fail. Stop holding my hand, like, for 5 seconds, right? So I think something like that is a hard sell in the modern games landscape, specifically for your average gamer. But I do think that there's a market, and I do think what he brings up in regards to like having contextual actions, right? If you're going to let her fall, just sit there, do nothing. If you're going to help her, walk over to her, right? I think you just have to prime your audience in the tutorial. And I think something like this could really work. And I think a lot of gamers would really love something like this, right? But yeah, you have to think about, different lines of dialogue, different animations, different outcomes. Does the outcome make sense down the line? Yes, no. So like if you save her here, right? How does this interaction continue, right? You have to write a more fleshed out, branching, organic story, right? And that's going to take development time. That's going to take money. Think about Ash Lake from Dark Souls 1, right? How many people actually found Ash Lake? When I streamed Dark Souls 1, I know there was at least one person in chat who had no idea Ash Lake existed underneath the tree, right? So, dev time can go into areas and gamers never find that area. That's kind of rectified in modernity, where we kind of secret hunt. Like Resident Evil Requiem's final puzzle was solved relatively quickly, all things considered. But I see the reasons for both sides, if that makes sense. I see both sides of the argument.
Shit!
With her dead in the ditch, we climb the cliffside and land on a main road.
Oh, that's spooky.
Back the way, the road is collapsed.
Jesus.
So we head downhill, eventually coming across a gas station. The gate through is locked and serves as a tutorial for one of the game's main mechanics, using tools you find to progress. In this case, we have to use a wrench lying nearby to break the lock. Climbing onto the gas
I love how stiff the animations are.
station, we get the unsettling sight of this wheelchair just sitting there, spinning like a cocky bastard. It's clearly important in some way, hence the endless spin cycle and its position on top an area that would be inaccessible to wheelchair users. But we have places to be, so we jump down the other side and pass through a gap into the next area.
I mean, it kind of works though, because Silent Hill 4, right? We had cars in places that they had no ability to be in. Strictly the first Wish House area, right? And then we saw it when just before Richard Braintree shows up, right? Cars just things just get places in Silent Hill. I think the absurdity of it is just additive. I think it adds to the atmosphere.
We arrive just outside a tram station, and on our way in, there's more references to disability, with a wheelchair accessibility poster scratched out, and on the floor next to it, we can see what looks like wheelchair tracks heading into the building. We follow these up, discovering a train line that'll take us out of the area. The problem is, it requires a ticket we do not have. But we're in luck, because there's an arcade machine that gives out free tickets. The caveat, it was broken, so the owner had it sent to the local repair shop. Bugger. It's never easy in these hills, which do be silent. In search of our golden ticket, we head off to find the workshop. Following more tracks down the road, we eventually come across an old diner, the Devil's Pit Stop. And here, we have a lovely interaction with the friendly neighborhood mailman.
Afraid all the roads are out, every last one of them. Strangest thing.
What the
How casual John Post Office is. What a cool guy.
Something wrong, son?
Did you see it? Up there in the window.
He gives us
I mean, once again, right? People see different things, or certain people don't see. I'm sure this dude is just John Post Office. His whole job is to deliver mail, and he's just yeah, it's kind of weird. Just all the roads are out. That's really strange, honestly. I love this. The subtlety here is great. Oh, did he appear in another Silent Hill game? That's actually really cool. I didn't know
some
that.
encouraging words before pulling a Batman, the legend, inside the diner, and I think it's meant to be a wink and a nod to the diner of the first Silent Hill game. There's even a jukebox you can use to play the game's theme tune, so I'd say it's likely.
I like it.
In
Very
the
cool.
kitchen, Murphy smells gas leaking from a pipe, and being the conscientious citizens we are, we turn it off.
Oh, shit.
And this is why we don't do nice things. We turn the sprinklers
exactly.
on, and somehow things go even more pear-shaped.
What the hell?
I don't know how I like the transitions. I think a more subtle, as you progress in an area, like, you know, it subtly becomes more and more the thing, or you like walk through a door and it suddenly is the other world. I don't know how I like the transition. I'm mixed on it. On one hand, it's like, how do you reasonably get from one place to the other, right? I mean, the transition does make sense. On the other hand, I guess it makes it feel a little more fantastical than you would assume it to be. But then again, I mean, it is kind of fantastical that you have a complete other world, right? It's a weird one. I don't know how to feel on the transitions.
What the hell is this?
We're in the nightmare now, a twisted metal world. We head upstairs, exploring a little until we encounter this f***er.
Ball?
An all-consuming ball that'll kill you if it reaches you. It's a chase sequence and happens almost every time you enter the nightmare. For me, the nightmare world in Downpour is really lackluster. It has moments of genius, but it's completely overshadowed by the overuse of running sections. It's very reminiscent of the chase scenes from Shattered Memories. Symbolically, I get it, it's clever. Murphy's running away from the past. He can't confront it, so he runs from it with everything he has. It's all-consuming and corrupts his perception of the world. You can even push these helpless creatures in its path to slow it down. A euphemism for Murphy's selfish actions causing pain and harm to others. It's just a shame because the best part about the nightmare world in past iterations was seeing the areas you know like the back of your hand transformed into a horrific version of itself.
I don't think we've actually seen Valtiel since 3, right? The creature cranking the thing, keeping the wheel turning, right? I'm pretty, because I don't think we've seen Valtiel since 3, which is, I mean, interesting, but not surprising. I don't know. Maybe it was in a side game that I missed, right? Maybe not one of, like, you know, maybe, I don't know. I'd be very curious if he came back in any capacity. I don't think he has, though. I guess this leans, so starting from the top, right? Like, as chat says, definitely a Silent Hill movie transition, which does showcase that I think this is drawing from the movies, which I haven't seen, rather than the actual, like, Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because Valtiel's not a marketable plushie. I mean, a lot of people would actually buy a Valtiel Plus. I'm sure you'd be surprised. So this tells me that this is definitely taking more from the movies. And, like, yeah, this kind of gets into everyone's own personal other world, right? Like, as we see throughout, we kind of meet with different characters and stuff. Spoiler, what's her face? Cop who fell off, she returns. She experiences her own things, right? Like, the other world shows everyone their own different thing. I feel like because you're railroaded into simplistic chase sections like this, you don't really have time to soak in and appreciate the other world, right? The rusted and metallic and cruel and dark otherworld that it is, right? Like, even in Silent Hill 2 Remake, right? Because I've only played Silent Hill 4 and I've only played the Silent Hill 2 Remake, which I thoroughly enjoyed both of those. They're both up on the gaming channel if you're curious. As James in 2, I mean, there are sections that you just have to navigate through the other world. And the atmosphere became really oppressive. I feel this is oppressive, but in an expedited way, because mechanically you have a timer. You must run through this or the big bad orb gets you, right? So the logic makes sense here. The running from past, your selfishness and carelessness, pushing, things in front of your past to try to distract it rather than confronting it. Like all of the analysis, I think, makes sense. And I'd be very curious to get around to Sphere Hunter's review whenever I can get around to that review, because it'd be really interesting to see another perspective on this version of the other world. I don't know. It's interesting. I think that it's kind of similar to Silent Hill 4, right? Where the ghosts put a timer on you. It puts a timer on you. If this is the only thing the other world gets relegated to, I think it makes me a little sad, unfortunately.
Instead, in Downpour, you quickly run through areas you don't know. It has way less impact. As I said, there are exceptions to this, and I'll talk about them later, but for now, we run through the maze and end up taking a tumble down the world's deadliest water slide.
Epic.
Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. One of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few great locations in the nightmare. Arriving in this large labyrinth, one of the few gre It's a confused, impossible structure consisting of dirty living spaces and prison cells. We have to turn cranks
Kind of reminds me of the Cube from the Silent Hill 2 remake.
scattered around, causing the structure to shift, opening the path out, and once through, we get, you guessed it, sugar tits, another chase sequence. This ends with us reaching a staircase, and it loops infinitely, something they clearly ripped off from Super Mario. Instead, we have to turn around and go back down, finding ourselves back in the kitchen like nothing ever happened, and
Interesting.
considering it was mostly one big chase, I'm kinda wishing it hadn't as well. Bear in mind, my not enjoying chase mechanics, it is a personal preference, so if you enjoy them, good for you, buddy. We explore the
I think it does depend on the person. I think it also depends how it's done, right? Like, you can definitely have a bad chase mechanic. You can have a good chase mechanic. I think it just depends how it's presented. And yeah, like, you're unable to really, like, admire or seep yourself into the other world in this as much context as it has in prior entries, right? You're just unable. It doesn't feel like it meshes well, right? Like, there's let's think about it this way. In another popular horror game, horror quote unquote, Resident Evil, right? Across the aisle, Resident Evil, right? People love Mr. X. People, I guess, really love Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I've only played the RE3 remake, where I guess Nemesis was really defanged. And yeah, he kind of felt defanged. Just like it made me go, as someone who hasn't played the original, this is Nemesis? He really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. He kind of chases you down, but he's kind of there. He's just a worse Mr. X, right? Which I do hear on authority. It's that is a very, like, defanged version of Nemesis, which makes me really sad and very excited that, you know, to actually eventually go back and play the original. I'm very curious to see the differences, because they are staggering, I hear. Even chat's confirming RE3 remake Nemesis was absolutely butchered. I think that had to do with production time, though. I think the 3 remake, because they cut a lot of the hospital, if I remember correctly, or they cut a lot of stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to go back and experience the originals on those, right? But like Mr. X, right? Or even original Nemesis, right? Clearly those are chase scenes done well. Clearly they're done, especially in Resident Evil 2's case, they're done in confined areas, right? Where Mr. X is going to give it to you. I love how my brain defaulted to the Vine Sauce version, where it's, what was it? Rem Lazar. Right? Like, it can work. It absolutely can. Dead Space had the Hunter, right? Very much, you know, a timer that came down and kept you going, but you reasonably had already been through the places before, right? So you kind of knew where to go, right? I don't necessarily know in this game, I almost said Homecoming. Which one's this one? I'm already for Downpour. In Downpour, I don't know if it's areas you've been through, and I think that might be part of it. If it transitions to the other world for the chase sequence, and clearly there's at least some subtle differences, at the very least you have the things in the cages you throw down, it could be seen as you're having to be chased through an area you just don't, especially because it looks so different, you just don't have reference points for, thus leading to frustration and pain points. I don't know. I don't know the maps. I haven't played it, so I'm having to analyze this in a vacuum. But, you know, at least when Mr. X shows up, you've already been through most of RPD, right? With Nemesis, I'm assuming it makes sense. You've been through areas. Or at the very least, I would assume if you have to go through a new area, like Dead Space and the Hunter, right? The objective is clear, right? The Hunter, when it's released in Medical 2, right? I don't remember which level it is specifically, but when Chalice Mercer unleashes the Hunter on you, then you go back through the ICU, you go and grab the sample to mix the funny, and then you have to go back to where the Hunter initially broke out, but then you get into a new room, which is the cryogenics chamber, right? But it's very clear. And even then, like the opening moments, if you just absolutely knock the Hunter off its feet and stasis it, and you go into the room in the back, you can resolve that encounter super quick. It's designed intuitively and in a way that even though it's a new area, you can resolve the mechanic fairly quickly, fairly low effort. So that's what I personally would bring to the table, is that it might just be that the audience has a lot more issues with it at a base level because the Nightmare World being different, especially if it introduces new rooms and stuff. Like, it seemed like the wall kept pushing back and expanding, right? It just the player doesn't really have a reference point as opposed to going through RPD. OG Nemesis being where he can appear randomly. Remake ones were more predictable with set places he spawns. Okay, so it's very much movie magic for set pieces. Okay. I'd have to experience the original RE3, but like, I think I've made an argument for how it can be done reasonably so, even in the same genre, versus how this could appear as very not well put together in Downpour.
House behind the diner, there's a small puzzle to solve here involving a kettle and a safe. It's straightforward and rewards us with a handgun, which is cool, but it would have been nice to see Murphy react in any kind of way.
Nice.
All right.
With the house thoroughly ransacked, the basement is the only place left to explore, so we head down. There's a lift that'll take us outside, but it's missing a power cable, one we can find on the other side of the basement. And with this cable in hand, we make our way back, but along the way, we see trouble.
Get up, bitch! Ne chinga conmigo, puta!
I'm pretty sure I can't repeat those words.
Hey! Let go, asshole, you don't understand!
This is the first and most common enemy you'll encounter in the game, a screaming woman with a deformed face. There's no clear meaning behind the monster design, although people have speculated online that it could represent Murphy's angry ex-wife, which I find fucking hilarious. There's an entire community out there that thinks this shrieking, monstrous bitch represents an ex. You have had some tough relationships, my guy.
No, I can see it. No, I see it. That would make sense.
On her own, she's easy enough to beat, and once defeated, the body vanishes. With that, we fix the lift and head up. I love how you can see the fog literally loading into the basement. Outside, we're in a small cul-de-sac of cabins. We can explore them to find weapons, healing items, and one of the buildings even has a change of clothes for us. Thank God, normal people clothes. We also find a badge and a key in the jacket, which we hang on to for safekeeping. At the back of the estate though, we find what we're looking for, the workshop, and within it, our ticket game. It's straightforward, you have to get the balls in the hole. Hell, it's even fun.
So when do we get this? When do we get this as DLC for like Silent Hill 1 remake? Like they're just gonna add this as a DLC for like $7.99.
Yes.
Using the key we found, we open the locked gate at the back and head towards the tram. There's a couple of screamers waiting for you just outside the gate, but it's better to just run from enemies when you can in Downpour, so that's what I did. Arriving...
I don't know. Like, I laugh at the whole, like, you know, ex-wife thing. I laugh at the whole ex-partner thing. I think that, and I think this became a thing as well in some of the Western Silent Hills, where, like, things just didn't have a root in something, right? But then again, to be fair, Silent Hill 2 also did this. Abstract Daddy, right? Or whatever it's called. Remember how they also show up in the hotel? At least in the original. I don't remember if they did in the remake or not. I can't remember. Allegedly, there wasn't really a reason why the smaller Abstract Daddy showed up. Like, they just showed up because they were an enemy in the game. So if we want to be technical about it, because, right, James didn't have the same things that, what's her face? I can't remember her name offhand, was seeing, right? Like, they were seeing two different things. Abstract Daddy happened to be kind of that nexus point where, you know, their paths intertwined, right? But in Silent Hill 2, we can also see that, you know, enemy placement is here. What does this represent? Oh, it's just an enemy. It's just we just happen to have the model on hand, right? At least that's as I understand it. So if we're going to be critical, we need to be fair, right? Silent Hill 2 did it. But then I guess maybe we could argue rush production time at the end. It is towards the end of the game. I don't know. I think that the strength like even in Resident Evil, right? Especially when, you know, someone transforms, that's kind of like symbolic of them transforming into a monster, right? Like Derek Simmons from 6, you know, turning into a fly at the end. You could argue it's because, you know, he's an annoying fly, you know, buzzing around everybody's business, and, you know, he ends up being nothing. He loses all his power and impales himself on the umbrella spike, right? Like Wesker, and I'm actually more of a fan of Ouroboros actually rejecting him, at least in part, because he has the pustule on his chest in 5, right? Like, we talked about the whole Ouroboros, like Mkono, the one that, you know, Excella was, and then, you know, he ended up being a failure, and then he burst out into black tentacles, right? Like, which I don't think we've actually seen an actual true, like, Ouroboros fully compatible individual, right? So even then, Wesker's, you know, lust and greed for power led him to relying on his perceived superiority to inject, you know, intake Ouroboros, but Ouroboros, even his own creation, still rejects him, right? At least in part. So stuff like that, like, people love drawing comparisons, analysis, symbolisms. If you just throw a dog at somebody and it's just a dog, where's the investment there? Okay, it's and dog. Why are we fighting the dog, right? How does this make sense, right? Why are we fighting screamers? Why does this make sense, right? How does this relate to the protagonist, right? Maybe it could be his ex-wife. It could be that he had issues after the incident where it sounded like whatever their history is, right? Maybe he had issues with women after that in regards to just, you know, saying the wrong thing and being shut in, right? Like, having some justification helps a lot, and it's just free world building.
At the station, we use our ticket, hop in a cart, and head towards the Devil's Pit mine, which, in hindsight, why the hell are we trying so hard to get to such a shit-sounding place?
I mean, have you seen what cavers do? Like, dude, we could find a cave tomorrow that is called, like, Beelzebub's Taint, and it's, like, 1,000 feet underground. And there are so many spelunkers that would want to go there.
Traveling across the fog, we arrive at the beautiful canyon of the Devil's Pit, and this area actually reminded me a lot of Alan Wake. It has the same aesthetic. We head through the lobby and onto a landing outside, encountering another strange inhabitant of the town, John, the former tour guide of the pit.
Listen, if there's a quick way out of here, I'd really appreciate it if you just tell me.
Way out? What good would that do?
Right. Well, be seen.
If you head through the cavern, there's a train. Can take you to Hillside. Boy, I tell you, all the kids, they just love that little train.
Man is fighting some demons. Oh, what was the meme recently? we were talking about plants, is how I'm gonna word that, and how you know, what white people have, there's their own special version of plants. What are you running from? Like, you have a certain edible treats that are like, you know, 10,000 milligrams or something. And the sentiment is like, man, white people don't want to relax. They want to run from some demons. Oh, only the most hilarious of subjects, I assure you. Oh, I don't know why that reminded me of this, but that was a good excuse to talk about it. Wow. Woo! Yes, impersonating a federal officer would not be a war crime, but it is at least a federal crime, as I understand it. Responding to chat.
Based on the creepy stranger's advice, we decide to head through the cave and take a train towards the town of Silent Hill, a cracking plan of action. After dealing with the disgruntled tourist, we head to the cave, and I have to say, the game really went above and beyond with the background lore here. There are plaques crammed with information all around the area. It's nothing crazy, it's just a nice bit of world building. We have to
I love this. Like, I understand why stuff like that's not the standard, but you love to see it.
Cross the world's least stable bridge, so it won't come as a surprise to anyone when disaster strikes. There's a painfully long button pressing scene here to slowly climb up the bridge. I assume it was made so long to allow the next scene to load in, but it's ass. I would rather a loading screen. We climb up and we head into the mine. In a sick twist of fate, we somehow lost our torch and handgun when the bridge collapsed. I didn't even shoot that gun once. On top of that, all we have now is a shitty lighter to see in the dark. We take a lift deeper into the mines when a mysterious creature decides to play funny buggers with the cables.
Oh no, not like this.
Now we're stuck at the bottom with no way out and an unknown monster lurking. Thank God we have this shitty lighter or we'd really be screwed.
I feel like this could work for a chase sequence, right? Like you have, you know, unseen monster, you know, that vaguely looks like Valtiel, right? It's clearly not, right? But like, you know, play with that imagery, play with that fear of the unknown, right? And then crash down here, explore the area a bit, deal with some mobs, right? Deal with some enemies until you hit a certain point where you like grab your, you know, whatever you're supposed to find that mission, and then have the chase ensue where, you know, it chases you throughout the caves, but you've already had the chance to explore the caves. Something like this could work.
In the mine, we fight more screamers, push a cart, and come across this news article attached to a door. It claims that an incident in the mine took the lives of 8 children, and that the tour guide, JP, was likely to blame due to intoxication, which explains his miserable presence in Silent Hill. Exiting through the office, we get ambushed. These guys are called the Weeping Bats. They pack a punch, and they take ages to kill. They're also able to climb on ceilings and crawl around, dropping down near you for damage, and that hitbox is hilariously bad. They're tall and they have sickly pale skin from their time spent in the caves. Again, there's no clear symbolism. The most prominent theory is that they're meant to represent Murphy's isolation while in prison, although I'm not convinced.
I mean, I guess. I mean, this game definitely focuses a lot around prison as a theme, right? With some of the enemies later and stuff that we see. Like, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Why are they called bats? I mean, that too. Like, I don't. Maybe because they hang from the ceiling. Like, but you see it like face value where it's like, what is this thing called? And it's like how you have to like do mental gymnastics to try to justify it. That's the part that's throwing me off. I love how we're 16 minutes in, but we're also 40 minutes in.
They can be particularly annoying in the mine because the combat isn't great in Downpour. I wouldn't care too much about that. In games like Silent Hill, which are meant to be about surviving, in horror, like a survival horror, it makes sense for combat to be uncomfortable. You're not meant to be a killing machine. You should want to run away from some fights. The problem comes when combat is frustrating. Weapons break after a few hits, meaning you're regularly running around like an ass looking for something to use. It's also a roulette as to how many hits it will take to kill an enemy. Sometimes they die on 1 or 2 swings, other times 3, 4 or 5, and it makes it so hard to predict or plan a fight. In any case,
I mean, Resident Evil 4 Remake does this, right? Like, your knives have durability, right? Like, except the Primal knife, which you can upgrade to have infinite, right? Like, technically we see this in Resident Evil 4, but like, there's kind of this weird, like, balancing around knives. Like, the original, the knife was very much your tool to finish things off to conserve ammo, which you can still use it, but it's very much a parry and disconnect tool, right? Like, be able to parry things for durability, and it's the balancing point, right? I very much view this in the way, like, imagine Resident Evil 4, but a parry could take a percentage. It either takes, you know, a quarter to 3/4, and there's no consistency in that, right? Like, if that's a good parallel for this, like, yeah, it's gonna, you don't have a reference point for combat, thus you don't really know how to deal with things, and that means every encounter is kind of a wild card. You can have encounters that are wild cards, but when every encounter is a wild card, I think that becomes a problem.
The Weeping Albino dealt with, we hack open the way out and head to another viewing platform where we see JP for a second time. Clearly, the asshole did know a quicker way around.
We're the ones who decide if we can live with what we've done.
Another choice and another meaningless
Oh no, the game is telling us to embrace 4chan. They're just going to tell him to do it. They're going to tell him to anti-hero himself. Oh no, please, not like this.
consequence. He jumps no matter what we choose to do, and I mean, I'd rather he jumps than have an escort mission, I can't lie.
Be seeing you around, Murphy.
No!
We head through the mine once more, taking
It's okay. There was clearly an Assassin's Creed hay pile beneath them.
another elevator, and finally reaching the train.
This must be the train Sater told me about.
It's not running, so we have to solve a puzzle at the control panel. There are 5 buttons, each one a different color. The solution can be a bit tricky to figure out, but what you have to do is read a poem found nearby, and this poem has references to different imagery, like a blue sky or a dusky evening. The colors in the
We're just going to ignore the guy that was clearly tied up with barbed wire to the station. See, I think that's an allegory for being tied to your job, right? You know, how your 9 to 5 is now, you know, an 8 to 7 now, right? And, you know, you're constantly at work. You're unable to escape. You know, the shackle and chain, you know, ball and chain don't actually come off. You can't break those shackles. See, I can also push allegory.
poem indicate the order you have to press the buttons, and I feel sorry for the staff that had to deal with that shit. No wonder JP was a drunk. We hop on the train and it sets off, and it's an interesting ride. There are some spooky moments, like when you encounter some display mannequins up to no good.
No, he's T-posing. No. Okay.
But on the whole, it's like any spooky roller coaster. You know you're not in any real danger, so it becomes a little bit lame.
Okay.
After crashing, we wake up at our destination when along comes Anne, who somehow managed to survive her fall.
I saw you.
Hands against the wall.
She still isn't happy to see us and gets especially miffed when she discovers the badge we found earlier.
What the? Where did you get this? Where in the hell did you get this?
I just found it in these clothes. I didn't...
Is this some kind of sick joke to you?
We don't know the importance of the badge, but it's serious enough for her to threaten killing Murphy.
You're not fit to walk this earth while good, decent men.
I don't know who you think I am or what you think I've done.
Shut the hell up! You think this is funny, don't you? Well, let's see how funny it is with a fucking bullet in your head.
She presses
She presses forward, proceeds to back off. Like, I don't know why it comes across as funny. Like, it's clearly a tense moment, right? Like, there's clearly underlying issues here. Like, I don't know how it comes across as funny to me.
Well, let's see how funny it is with a fucking bullet in your head.
She pushes out, of course, so we head off, arriving at the shop front. Something is on the roof though and making a racket, so we get at a dodge real quick. I did not want to find out what it was. And finally, after all the exploring, the fighting and the running, we're here. We're at Silent Hill.
We did it! He did it! We did it! We found Silent Hill!
What exactly we have to do now, it's not clear. We just know that we have to escape, so pushing forward is all we can really do.
Where is everybody?
The dev's done an amazing job bringing the town to life. It feels like a real abandoned town with its own life, and it is a treat to explore. While you're doing just that, somewhere along the line, it'll begin to rain. Storms are one of the biggest mechanical innovations of the game. A storm can take over at any time, limiting visibility, but more interestingly, it draws out monsters and makes them more aggressive. It's meant to mirror the prison showers, where Murphy became a monster himself.
Makes sense.
You can hide out the storm in houses until they pass, but they never lasted long enough to merit finding shelter. You're never far away from the next story location, so you can usually just dash past the enemies. In this
I wonder if part of the issues people have with this game is that it takes so long to get to Silent Hill. Like, don't get me wrong, my reactions are bloated as is because I pause constantly. 20 minutes into the video, and it's been a pretty expedited journey, right? Is like a third of the video is when we actually get to Silent Hill, right? Whereas in Silent Hill 2, we kind of just start there. Silent Hill 1, we kind of just start there, right? Like there's a draw or a pull or something to the town, and we just get there, right? Silent Hill 4, as I understand it, the wishing house is in Silent Hill proper, but we're in a neighboring town, right? I think Homecoming as well. Homecoming as well, we're kind of in an external area, like we're in another town entirely. But like, I don't know. I think I'm actually being a little too pedantic on this one. I think I'm reading into something that there isn't really anything to read into, if I'm being honest. I think it's a non-complaint.
You're never far away from the next story location, so you can usually just dash past the enemies. In this part of town, you might also encounter these patrolling police cruisers. If they spot you, an alarm will go off, the car will disappear, and a large group of creatures will spawn. With Murphy being an ex-con, it makes sense that the town would torment him this way, but they're a pain in the ass, so we trekked to the local police station to turn off dispatch. Admittedly, I was a bit disappointed here. I was hoping for a big, elaborate, scary police building to explore. Instead, it's a hollow shell with a balancing board to cross.
Aww. I mean, we could have got RPD. We could have had something cool here.
Then it's a case of guessing the missing numbers to recall the cars. The next major location is the apartment building, but the way up requires us to pull down a ladder. In typical Silent Hill fashion, we have to find a particular hook to reach it. We can't just drag over one of the 100 bins we've passed.
I think this is actually really funny because Resident Evil 9 kind of did this, right? With the Baby Chloe section, right? With the ladder, and you had to go around and get the fire poker, right? But like, that kind of made sense, right? That kind of made sense because she's a literal child, right? So that does make sense that, you know, she wouldn't be able to reach that ladder and required a tool, right? Like, this is one of those game isms. This is very much like game logic, right? You have to find the specific thing to drag down the ladder. I can't move a trash can over. I can't Minecraft a building or a structure up there. No, you have to find the specific thing. That's such a game-ism. Or like, when you're like, but there's plenty of good shovels around me, but you need to find that very specific shovel, because that very specific shovel is the item you need, and that very specific shovel is like 2 maps away. Like, that's such a video game thing that like you could explain to somebody who doesn't play games, they're just gonna look at you like, what are you talking about? That sounds so weird. Oh, wonderful. Magical Rat Ziggy, hi, thanks for the raid.
I grabbed the hook and the void was calling out to me here. What would happen if I just yeeted this stick off the edge? You'd hope it respawns, but I wasn't about to take that chance.
No, I would not take that chance. It probably would not respawn, actually.
Around this area, you'll likely be attacked by a new type of enemy, the prison minion. This lad is the second most common creature you'll find. In appearance, they're very similar to the Screamer, just a male version. They have a masculine body and a tortured face, their eyes and mouth stretched open with some kind of mechanical device. By this point, you should be noticing a big issue. The monsters just aren't scary. They look like your local smackheads hunting down a Mackey's at 2 a.m. They're
Bro, it's just the local crackhead population.
miles away from being the disturbing, memorable, and intelligent monster designs of previous iterations. They're all just people, unscary, clapped people. If having a fucked up face makes you a Silent Hill worthy monster, I can name a few plastic surgeons the devs should speak to.
So I could maybe justify something here, actually, because I can't remember the protagonist's name, because the protagonist has done some really awful stuff, right? The opening sequence, right? Maybe he's perceived as the monster, right? And he's just, how regular people kind of scoff and look at him as, a felon, outlaw, whatever have you, right? I mean, like, I could justify something there, right? I mean, sure, that makes the Batwing, or the Bat one that hangs on the ceiling, a little strange, I guess. Yeah, and I guess you could relate that to isolation, right? But the fact that they're just normal is actually a little interesting. And I think this is very much me trying to read so far between the lines I'm using a microscope, right? But like, I could see there being a commentary in regard to normal people perceiving him as the monster, as well as, him having to deal with monsters in prison, kind of being this in-between, right? Not really, depending on the ending you get, not really being a monster, right? Which is a problem later, right? Him not really being truly a monster, but not quite your average Joe. But I think that also gets into, and I wanted to make sure to finish up with this, I think that also gets into vilifying people who've been put in prison, right? Like, yeah, there's some people who definitely belong in prison, like Ed Gein, right? He did some pretty bad stuff, right? Stuff that I will not repeat here. He did some pretty bad stuff. Like, yeah, people who actually, you know, do wire fraud and stuff, yeah, go to jail, right? But there are people, like, domestic situations, if you will, where somebody decides to get a little too physical. Yeah, like, people, you know, go to prison. That being said, just because you're a felon does not necessarily mean you're a bad person. Maybe you had maybe you're in a bad spot in life. That doesn't excuse, you know, awful behavior, right? But especially when we have an actual non-zero statistic of false incarcerations, right? Like, hey, we need you to identify the perpetrator in this police lineup, and the victim false identifies, because there's a non-zero statistic there. Human memory is unreliable. So I wanted to make sure when I made this commentary to kind of end off on, just because you spent time in jail, just because you went to prison, like, doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. And that commentary, that analysis, is predicated on the understanding that, like, it's predicated on the philosophy of, like, jail equal bad, right? Like, there's a reason you're in jail, but us in the real world know that there is very much a lot of, like, nuance that goes into that. Yeah, sorry, aside. But, I mean, I could see there being a commentary. Just wanted to make sure I covered my tracks.
Even more disappointingly, there's little to no use of symbolism. In previous installments, monsters were meant to represent the guilt or mental anguish of the characters we inhabit. Making any symbolistic explanation in this game feels like a stretch, which is a shame because there are so many great themes the developers could have elaborated on. Anyway, we're in the housing block now, and it's a lovely place. Nowhere near as interesting as the apartments in Silent Hill 2, but hey, they tried. Upon entering through a window, our boy even gets a shout out on the radio.
DJ Rick's back again with another dedication for Mr. Popularity today, Murphy Middleton. The WLMN FM phone's been ringing off the hook for all Murph. All I can say, people, is that DJ Ricks is gonna have to meet this dude someday and find out what his secret is.
The light flashed over that. I'm like, that's the same radio from Animal Crossing on the GameCube.
There's a nice side quest here. We can return stolen items to the residents of the building, and it gives some personality to the old inhabitants.
I've been desensitized a bit because I shouldn't have laughed at that. That's kind of macabre. I think it's strictly because it's in the video game landscape. I think I'm just desensitized at this point.
Must be all the stuff he took.
Returning war medals, change jars, you name it, we return it. Completing the quest, we get to wear the clothes of a man that hung himself.
Nice.
I think I'll pass. Thank you very
much. I believe hanged is the correct one, though. Look, it was a class in high school history. We went over this whole thing on what hung is actually incorrect. It's supposed to be hanged, but it's being pedantic.
Very much, Ghost Man. Outside the building, we have another interaction with the mailman.
This is a busy town. Do you think these letters deliver themselves?
Whatever. Can you at least...
I love this man.
Please tell me where the radio station is. Someone's been calling in, making these dedications to me.
Oh, sure. That'd be the tall building in the center of town. Big old monster of a clock at the top. Shouldn't be hard to find.
With no better lead, we set out for the radio station. Someone is sending in requests for us, and we want to know who. We head through an urban area, a more built-up town centre with shops and businesses. There's even an amazing Easter egg here. If you find a hook tool, you can actually pull down a ladder to behold beauty. A recreation of the room from Silent Hill 4.
I love it.
It's a really neat
great
Easter egg. A one-to-one recreation. I was sad they didn't make it a bit more interactive. It would have been cool to be able to look through the keyhole, or maybe even replicating the famous ghost haunting from the original game, but that's just me being greedy. Back outside and exploring some more, you can find these bird cages. This is a side quest where you have to free trapped birds spread throughout the town. With each bird freed, you get these visions. It's an analogy for prison and freedom.
You get it? Bird set free from its cage? I mean, it's pretty subtle. I don't know if you guys caught that. I did like the recreation of the room, though. That is actually really cool. Like, I love when games do stuff like that, but once again, it's a lot of time put into development.
Murphy knows what it's like to be locked up. He spent years in prison and now he's trapped in Silent Hill. He understands the importance of freedom. Side quests were one of the biggest draws for Downpour. There are loads of them and some of them are really well thought out. The developers done a great job of creating stories within the town. It's an interesting approach because in Downpour, the world is far less about the protagonist. You really get the feeling that the town has an existence and a cursed presence with or without you. Unfortunately though, there's not much incentive to complete them. Some quests tell an intriguing story, making them worthwhile, but there's no tangible reward. At best, you get a health pack, at worst, you get nothing. I think that's another drawback of having breakable weapons. Exploration in other survival horror games is great because if you find a new weapon, you get to keep it. It's worth the struggle. But in this game, finding a cool weapon, it means nothing because it breaks 5 minutes later.
I can see that.
After a trek through town, we eventually arrive at the Centennial building and head in. We enter through the back.
Before we get into this, I think that side quests are an interesting spot. Like Dead Space Remake had the whole like electric charged stasis module, right, that you could unlock, and you had to go through that side quest, right? Required some backtracking and stuff. Like if you're going to go out of your way to do something, have it be a tangible reward, even if it's just an outfit, right? Like have something. If you do, and I think having like a health pack is kind of fine depending on the length, right? I think it's appropriate in its scales, right? If you're doing like Anju and Cafe side quest for Majora's Mask, right? Really long sequence, all things considered, right? At least comparatively to other entries in the series, right? Yeah, you kind of want something tangible out of that. Couple's Mask, I think, gets you just a piece of heart. It also gets you on your way to First Deity Mask, right? It's one of the required masks. You have to trade in all 24, right? Or however many masks. I think it's 24. So you want to make sure that you're at least getting some reward out of it. If your reward to do a side quest is just a weapon that's going to break in 3 hits, it doesn't feel good to do the side quest, right? Like, what about, solving an Axe House mystery? It may, awards you a golf club or I guess like if it rewards you an axe, that's fine. But then the axe breaks in 3 hits, and you're like, I mean, the sequence was fine, but now I guess I need to move on, right? Like, there's nothing really tying you to that, I think. So I think it depends. Like, having side quests is fine, and like, there's definitely a balancing point between locking like necessary upgrades behind side quests, because that's when you run into like the Assassin's Creed Odyssey thing, right? Where you have to do like all of the targets to progress the story, right? And it just becomes bloated. The experience just draws to a screeching halt, right? Or Assassin's Creed 2. Find all the pages. You didn't find all the pages. Guess you can't fistfight the Pope till you find all the pages, and then I never revisit the game. So that's a criticism I have. On the other hand, if you're too loose about it, why should I do the side quest? For the love of the game, absolutely. But at the same time, if you do a side quest, you do the Axe Mystery House and are rewarded with an axe and it breaks, do you feel like your time has been respected? Do you feel like you invested time into something you thought is good? I think that we start to run into issues there, right? I think that's fair to discuss. I don't know. I could be off base though. I'd be curious what other people think about this. I'd be curious because once again, I can kind of see both sides, and it just comes down to the execution.
Finding a parole report attached to the door.
Who is doing this?
In a flashback, we see Murphy agreeing to some shady deals with Sewell.
Hey Murphy, remember, this is a limited time offer, my friend.
I'll let you know.
Before getting some sound moral advice from a man named Frank Coleridge, who genuinely seems to care about Murphy and doesn't want him mixed up with the wrong people.
Yeah, well, you just steer clear of Sewell and do your homework, right?
You got it, Chief.
Present day, in the underground, we find a new tool, a forensic lamp.
Neat.
We can use this to highlight invisible objects like blood or my dignity. It'll come in handy later, so we grab a security card, avoid a few pasty shitbags, and take the lift up to the archives.
Welcome to the Silent Hill Archive and Library.
We head through an old storage room, and along the way, it's pretty obvious something is playing with us. We follow the path, arriving in the Grand Library. On the floor with the forensic lamp, we can find a trail of invisible blood. Following it, we stumble across this classy broad.
Looks like somebody has specific taste in entertainment.
So, isn't it... This is always one that horror games get wrong, as I understand it. But to be fair, like... I also have a little bit of, like, context that other people might not have, right? Because I have a family member who has, how do I word it? I don't remember what they actually went into, but forensics was often a topic of discussion that was relevant to their work. Also having medical, professionals in my life. So I have a little, I guess, biased towards the information that I had. I was under the impression it was luminol that made black lights work like that. Like, you're trying to, like, figure out where, like, blood is and stuff. I thought that was luminol specifically. I don't know what other fluids react to it. I hear male funny juice is how we're going to word that. I hear that also lights up under a black light, but I don't know if that's also luminol or not. So that's the thing in, like, Dead Space 2, when you're walking back through the Ishimura, right? And there's all the, the stuff on the walls and stuff like that. That's technically not how that would work, because you would need luminol or some sort of agent to make those visible. So I'd be very curious if somebody happens to know a little bit more of the science. Maybe put in the comment section down below if you have a brief explanation on that, because as I understand it, this is very much a thing that games and media will use, but is misrepresentative of actual blacklights and how they work.
I mean, I know council folk get up to some weird shit, but that's taking it too far. Upstairs, we discover a large vault requiring 3 digits to unlock. In the room next door, there's a projector, and we even get pranked by the ghost from Luigi's Mansion.
Nice.
Our goal is to reach the top floor, so we run to the lobby and try to call the elevator when we're ambushed by the the scariest enemy in the game. These are probably the only enemy in the game with any kind of innovation, and it pays off. For better or worse, they're memorable. Killing the projection only deals a small amount of damage, whereas hitting the real physical doll deals big damage. So your best bet is to just ignore the projections and dash to the doll.
I think that's actually really cool, though. Like, I actually like that. Yeah, because the doll is... It kind of reminds me of Resident Evil 6, the bug Joavo. I can't remember what it's called, right? But I think you first come across it in Piers and Chris's story. I think it's like Mission 4, right? And yeah, like they go into the chrysalis and then they pop out, and there's like a humanoid like bug swarm, but you shoot it a couple times, and like the big like wasp or whatever in the center reveals itself. And if you shoot that, that's the thing that does damage to it. Like, I could see there being a really fun mechanic with, multiple like projections around it, and they're trying to all come after you. Maybe you have to corral them a certain way, and then you have to hit the core. I think it's a competent design. I like this mechanically.
I don't think they ever took full advantage of this mechanic. It would have been interesting to get attacked by the projections in a different room and have to hunt down the doll, kind of like a prop hunt. It feels like a slightly wasted opportunity. What do these represent? Lack of good pussy in jail. Moving on. The lift is out of service for some reason, so we fight our way through the many levels, enemies and puzzles within the archive until we discover the cause of the lift's failure. A wheelchair was blocking the door. Naturally,
I can't take wheelchairs seriously. Scary Movie 2. Like, I can't. I can't take wheelchairs seriously in horror.
Won't be as easy as just heading up, because to move the lift we require a security key, which we don't have. Nearby we find some projector slides, and the keen amongst you might remember the projector and locked safe from earlier. It seems likely that our key card will be there. Armed with nothing more than a fucking chair, we slowly make our way back to the start, grabbing the code from the projector slides and unlocking the safe. Inside, we grab the key and get another vision of Sewell.
Guys like Napier, they've got no business breathing the same air as you and me, right? Now, the courts and the bleeding hearts out there insist we sequester guys like him away from the general population for their safety. Can you believe that shit?
I mean, first of all, trigger discipline looks like his finger is actually on the trigger, which I guess is supposed to signify intent with what he's talking about, right? You know, these sickos, for their safety, they need to be locked up. I see what the intent is there, despite lack of trigger discipline. It feeds into what's going on. I'm mixed on this one.
General population for their safety. Can you believe that shit?
I had something intelligent I was going to say about this, but I honestly can't remember. Like, there was a whole thing I was going to dive into. Give me a second.
We grab the key and get another vision of Sewell.
Guys like Napier, they got no business breathing this.
Right, I remember now. So I would argue this is this game's way of trying to get across some sort of narrative. Like, think like Silent Hill 4, right? Silent Hill 4, Walter Sullivan, these are the things I have been through, receiver of wisdom, my what I'm doing is justified, right? Versus, the journalist who very much goes, you need to end Walter Sullivan, end him, no excuse, end Walter Sullivan, right? Like, and that's the way of, like, it's controversial. Yeah, Walter lived an awful life, but he also did some awful things. And yeah, he lived an awful life and, he should have been showed some mercy. He also did some really awful stuff to people, right? And so that's the game trying to tackle a really controversial concept. It's to make you think, right? Silent Hill 2, right? James reflecting on his actions, right? Because James was the one who was responsible for Mary, right? And thus leading into the events of bringing him to Silent Hill, bringing her back to Silent Hill, yada, 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 right? And that's you grappling. It makes you think, right? It's supposed to make you think and reflect. So I guess I could try to argue it's supposed to make you reflect on a very controversial subject. I mean, the fact that we have controversial subject of adults interacting with kids in any way, shape, or form that's inappropriate is, like, I don't really want to talk about it. What I'm trying to get across is I guess I could view it as Downpour's way of trying to have a really, like, controversial conversation, right? Of trying to, like, have that hard discussion, they're supposed to be locked up for their safety. Can you believe the nerve, right? But I don't think it quite lands the way they were expecting it to.
Same air as you and me, right? Now, the courts and the bleeding hearts out there insist we sequester guys like him away from the general population for their safety. Can you believe that shit?
Like, you hear it, and it very much is a very, hammer stroke, this is the commentary we're going for.
For their safety. Let me ask you this. What about Charlie's safety, huh?
This reaffirms our previous theories. Sewell set up Napier and in turn we're in his pocket. There's a mention of Charlie, Murphy's child, in relation to Napier, and it should be pretty obvious what the connection is here, but we'll let the plot play out for now. We use the key and head up to the top floor where we finally come face to face with DJ Rick.
Man, you look like you just saw a ghost or something. You alright?
Not really, no.
Rick doesn't seem to have any information that can help us.
What the hell's going on here, Ricks? What is this place?
Time to explain. If we're gonna get out of here, we gotta move fast. We're getting this far tells me we might even have a chance of getting out alive.
Right on cue, in bursts Angry Cop, who cannot decide if she wants to point the gun at us or leave us the f*** alone.
I think the duality here is great. Like, obviously she's struggling with her own demons, right? Like, she's struggling with her own inner thoughts. She's struggling. Should she pull the trigger? Should she not? So she's, aggressive, sheepish. This flip-flop, right? Like, she's clearly conflicted. But I think it comes across as more comical than anything.
Might have a way out of here.
You. I need to use your phone.
Sorry, lady. Calls come in, but don't go out.
Does she have a different gun now?
Don't mean they're willing to listen. See for yourself.
No! Run!
Wonderful.
It's a weird transition after that scene. Everyone is gone. There's never even any mention of the DJ after that point. Anyway, we're locked.
This feels like this is a common thing with the Western Silent Hills. I couldn't tell you about Origins or Shattered Memories. Having pre-watched the Homecoming video, which I genuinely do love. Like, it's like I said earlier, right? Second monitor content that I passively listen to versus actually like sitting, analyzing, reacting, right? This was an issue in Homecoming as well. Like, just plot points and characters just get kind of like hand waved, and it's like, yeah. We want to talk about what just happened?
Up now, and the only way out is through the fire exit, so we set fire to some bins, and in doing so, we accidentally kick off another chase sequence.
Oh god, not again.
This time it's 10 times better, because in the hallway you have to run through, there's now falling cars that will instantly kill you if you run under them. We cross more nightmarish landscapes until we come across this giant clock face and have to balance our way across, and it was honestly nausea-inducing.
I hate that.
The next area contains a series of environmental traps, spinning saws, chopping blades. It's a much better use of the
That's a seal of Metatron.
nightmare landscape. We're actually able to appreciate the disturbing architecture rather than just sprinting through it. We hit
right there, right there.
We're actually able to appreciate the disturbing architecture rather than just sprinting through it.
I think that's the core complaint. Like, the core complaint of this fantastical other world that we were talking about earlier, right? Confirmed here, right? Like, it's Halo the Sun. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for the clarification on that. Like, that's the core complaint. Like, you're just railroaded through something that should be part of the game. It doesn't feel part of the game. It feels like a nuisance, right? At least in a vacuum, just being railroaded through it. That's clearly the core complaint here.
We hit another slip and slide and get thrown from the sky onto a clock tower. Falling, we get more visions of Murphy's son, along with flashes of police and Murphy collapsing to the ground. We wake up on a bench, back in town centre, with the postman standing over us.
Got something for you. From St. Maria's, the old orphanage up there on the hill.
No. This can't be right.
Was this game subsidized by the United States Postal Service? This is the best product placement I've ever seen, if so. Like, USPS, even in a hell-infested town, we got your back. I love this. This is great.
So with the letter in hand, that's where we head. Along the way, there are lots of side objectives we can tackle, like exercising a house, which is actually a great quest. Entering an old, decrepit house, we uncover the past murder-suicide of the inhabitants. The lighting and the mood of the house is perfect, and by rewinding the record player, we turn back the clock, seeing the horrific crime play out. After which, we're endlessly attacked by the ghost of the father, and to stop it, we have to set fire to his portrait.
I mean, very Silent Hill 4-esque, right?
It's these small, self-contained pieces of storytelling that make the exploration in Downpour really exceptional. Although again, you don't get anything for completing this side quest, just an achievement, which is kind of a shame. I don't know, what do you think? Should there be more tangible rewards for completing side objectives, or is the story itself reward enough? Once we're finished...
See our discussion from like, what, 20, 30 minutes ago at this point on side quests? Like, it depends. Depends on the level of investment. Ideally, you want to make sure that the time is respected, right? Am I saying you need to get, some sort of like hyper spray like Silent Hill 2 has? No, right? But like, an outfit, something commemorative, something that I did the thing, right? Even if especially if it like persists through the playthrough or even the New Game Plus, like, yeah, it's okay to have a health pack drop from like some pretty, low stuff. Like, hey, I found a piece of mail with address 2212 on the ground, right? And then you find address 2212 and you deliver it to the mailbox, and then you get a health pack, right? Or something like that, right? Like maybe here's, some laughing, and then a health pack drops from, like the roof or something, right? Like, yeah, something pretty low investment, low reward, right? But if you're going to have something that you go out of your way to do, especially achievement status, right? Have something tangible for that. Maybe get an upgraded axe that, has increased durability that you can repair, right? So you can, like, I don't know, combine a pipe into it, right? And maybe it's just some haunted axe, and it's, it looks like, something from the other world, right? Right, but you see that there's potential here. It's so cool.
Gallivanting around the hill, we approach the monastery and head to the front door, being greeted by this old bat.
Been expecting you. You were the only family we were able to locate. Your presence is very welcome.
Family? No, that can't be. I mean...
Bless you, child. I understand this must be very confusing for you. We've checked the records carefully, and I assure you, there's no mistake. Please, come in.
I don't know if I would trust a nun in Silent Hill. I feel but I guess that's also because Dahlia has kind of ruined perception, for me at least, right? Because if you are a religious figure in Silent Hill, I just assume you're part of the order, right? I think we can all pretty reasonably agree to that.
With the nun doing a disappearing act, we have no choice but to explore the grounds, which appear to have been hit by some sort of earthquake. That shit is tore up. The way out is blocked by wooden planks, but by using our sleuth detective skills, we're able to find a hidden room behind a bookshelf where we can grab an axe. Yeah, fuck that, boy. I'm out.
Hey there. Do you live here?
Sister said we're not supposed to talk to strangers.
No, he's right. I want you to, the context of this. You're a dude brandishing a shotgun and an axe, walking through whatever this is. And, the kid speaks reason. Hey, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. No, that kid's got some sense. We're, in fact, the weird one here.
Oh, it's just you.
The kid's voice acting is weak, I have to say, but he has some interesting points to make, most importantly implying that we're the boogeyman.
She said you're the boogeyman.
Boogeyman?
He won't let us through unless we learn the boogeyman rhyme, and what could go wrong there? It sounds like fun. In order to learn it, we have to explore the grounds and find 3 pieces of paper, each containing a verse. Heading to the east wing, we discover the ugliest fucking doll in existence.
Amazing.
Why didn't you turn this into a full-sized enemy? It would have been 100 times scarier than Angry Roid Man and would still have played into the game's narrative. The first page is found in a chapel down the way, stored on a pedestal, like all rhyme books are. The gate is locked, so we have to break down a chandelier to smash through, grabbing
we're also causing property damage now, too.
The first part of the rhyme. We head through another courtyard, and this time it's the child's play area. There's even a tire hanging, and when you look away from it, it can swap between the tire and a hanging prisoner. It's a nice use of the uncertainty principle, and little details like that, they keep you guessing.
Yeah.
Murphy needs to stop off for
Pretty sure that was also supposed to be Murphy.
a quick piss though, and while there gets another vision of the giant man. This creature's the boogeyman the child's talking about, and he seems to have it out for Murphy. The next page is located in a theatre room, and this section has an outstanding design. We have to set the stage, reading the play script and activating the props in the order that they occur. Each prop results in their real-life counterpart forming in the room.
I like that, though. That's really cool. That's intuitive.
And when the play begins, the room is transformed into a forest with a creepy cabin in the distance. It's brilliant. We have to run through a wooded section overrun with monsters before arriving at the lodge.
Same chair.
We find the second part of the rhyme and an eraser before we're ganked by more dolls. The eraser we found, it lets us open a locked chalkboard in one of the classrooms, mysteriously sealed by a drawing of a chain.
Dude, that's some Chalk Zone level stuff. I love that.
Come on, Daddy, hurry up!
Charlie!
This allows us to pass through a previously locked door where we can reach the top levels of the building. The crack in the ground starts blowing daisies though, summoning a group of screamers, so we dash through the ruins dodging women like a monk in a strip club and eventually arrive at the medical room with 3 screamers on stretchers.
I'm going to use that now. That was brilliant.
Last piece of the rhyme is in one of them, and you can try taking a guess, but examining the wrong body will cause monsters to spawn in. If you ain't a gambler, you can wheel the body over to an x-ray machine to see if it's inside. Then it's just a case of reaching right on inside the screaming body and pulling it out. Lovely.
I feel like the QTEs make it less tense somehow. Like, I feel like if you hid the QTEs there and like you because the animation seems like it's fairly lengthy to try to grapple and try to grab the key and stuff, right? Like, I feel like maybe even lengthening the process a little bit more, maybe her claws or whatever get a little more close to your face. Like, it keeps you safe, right? There's not a pass, fail, grab the thing, right? But you very much play into that intensity. I feel like that would work much better.
With all 3 parts of the poem, we head back to the kid and try to get let through.
Hey, kid, I got the rhyme.
Damn, that almost sounds like grooming, but there are more troubling issues. This little powwow is interrupted when the boogeyman turns up and snaps the kid's neck.
You alone decide your fate.
I just want to point out that that this is happening in a game. Just want to point out that just happened. They had to off-screen it, but that most certainly happened.
Charlie? Mr. Pendleton, I have to ask you to leave, sir. We've got everything under control.
Where's my son? Where's Charlie?
Please, Mr. Pendleton, you don't want to be here. Let one of my officers drive you back to the command center, and we'll call you when...
Where's my boy? Is he out there? Charlie! Charlie!
Voice acting goes hard here.
Charlie!
Until then.
Another vision for Murphy before a different child of the orphanage appears and blames him for the murder.
He never did anything to you!
Wasn't me. I didn't. I mean... Wait! Come back! That thing is in there!
We chase her through the nightmare world, which in itself could be an analogy. In this nightmare, we're chasing the terrified child, much like the void that frequently chases us. Maybe
the swap in perspective.
In this scene, we're filling the role of the void in the eyes of the child, at least up until that little puff of f***ing smoke turns up and returns the favor. This chase, though, they added the extra special Frank's hot sauce because it's one giant loop with a little hidden door off to the right leading out. Very clever. That's very enjoyable.
So that actually reminds me of Pyramid Head's lair in Silent Hill 2 then, right? How it loops around, but there's like, the way out and then there's the way into the room with the butcher knife.
After outrunning the void, we end up having to cross through a tight space rammed with spike traps. You have just enough time to pass through, and they even throw in a few fake traps, spikes that never move, just to put you on edge and throw your timings off. The boogeyman cuts us off in the courtyard. He's unreachable and attacks with a ranged ground slam.
Okay.
We have to dodge his strikes while killing a couple of screamers before he hits the ground and opens the way out. After this, we arrive at
That was pretty intentional. So what would that represent? That he has to go forward, he has to stop running from his path and confront him. His pass is going to help him move forward. Like, how do you figure out what that represents? That's very deliberate.
Theater. It's not the same one we found earlier, but a larger, more professional type. Behind the curtains, we find 3 bells and a large sealed door.
Oh, he's hearing shot.
To get the combination, we have to lower the theatre chandeliers, grabbing some blue candles from the dressing room and placing them on the chandelier. Once done, we hoist it up, revealing a hidden pattern along the top banister. Ringing them bells causes all kinds of nasty liquids to piss out of the pipes.
Nice. As is tradition.
pass through the newly opened doors, ending up in an attic where we see the wheelchair creature speaking to the child.
Get away from her!
We try to get her away and fall through the floor in the process.
It's actually really funny.
For the third time in the game, we wake up somewhere different. This time in the monastery morgue. I mean, man, this place has everything.
Now, if you'll just sign for your son's body, you can take him home.
No! This isn't my son! This thing's a monster, a murderer!
Yes, well, I suppose that runs in the family.
The nun heckles us for being a bad person when Murphy notices the key for the DJ's boat around the boogeyman's neck and tries to grab him.
You see? I knew you'd come around in the end. Welcome home, Mr. Glory be to God.
See, I was gonna make a joke about coming home, but that's the wrong game. Homecoming is a completely separate game from this.
Murphy gets WWE cage slammed, teleporting to a shore which appears to be the same location he found his son's dead body. The boogeyman materializes from the water, coming at us hammer in hand, and this is a boss fight. We have to defeat him. If you've been avoiding most of the monsters up to this point, you should have a bunch of handgun ammo so you can quickly take him out.
The aiming in this looks really odd with the dot as the reticle. I guess, I mean, this could be confronting the past, right? Murphy doing what he wished he could do, and fight against the past, fight against the wrongdoings that took his son from him. Like I could see why the set piece would make sense.
He falls to one knee, and we're able to take his weapon from him and give him a taste of his own medicine.
You killed him! You killed the boogeyman!
Doesn't matter. It didn't bring you back.
So, the boogeyman, with it defeated, what did it stand for? Once you've killed him, you see the face flick between Murphy and the peers. They peer having kidnapped and killed Murphy's son, and Murphy getting himself arrested so he can kill him in revenge. Murphy can't decide where his guilt lies, with himself for becoming a murderer as well, or the monster that drove him to it, the monster that took his son.
You killed the boogeyman!
Doesn't matter. It didn't bring you back.
It's meant to look at the moral dilemma of vengeance. Does murder for the sake of revenge make you any better than the perpetrator themselves?
Why? You know exactly why.
In many ways, this creature is meant to be Downpour's take on Pyramid Head, which it shares a lot of similarities with, especially symbolically, but the boogeyman comes nowhere near the same caliber. His appearance is just too tame to be terrifying. It's
just bland. Like, it's forgettable. He looks like John Fallout.
Just a large lad in a gas mask. He's no more memorable than the cultist you fight in Homecoming. But we've got the keys to DJ Rick's boat, and we know it's on the North Dock, so we begin our journey out of Silent Hill.
I mean, I think it's a more intelligent conclusion than I could have come up with. I think personally it makes a lot of sense. I think that looking at revenge, vengeance, what makes us monsters, how two unlikely or two individuals could perpetrate different acts but still be perceived as monsters in the same way by ordinary people, right? I think it's interesting. It's a good conclusion to come to, I think. Yeah, it's definitely more intelligent than anything I could have come up with. I like that. I like that conclusion personally.
This is the last time we'll be able to free roam before we take the boat, so if there's any side quests to complete, they have to be done now. Heading north, we lower a bridge and arrive at the dock area of Silent Hill. And once we're good and ready, Murphy boards the vessel and sails off, leaving Silent Hill and living a long, happy, oh, for fuck's sake.
You gotta be kidding me.
Is that still a different? No, this is the same one she had.
Did you really think it could end like this?
How is she always there? She literally teleports around the game. She's meant to be real. How can she teleport on command?
Turn the boat around.
Are you out of your mind?
Anne and Murphy argue about returning to Silent Hill, with Anne claiming that the town isn't done with them.
We've both just been through hell. Haven't you been paying attention?
No, you haven't been paying attention. You think this is all an accident? Just a big coincidence? This town, it knows me. It showed me things. It wants me to finish this.
I mean, the general life advice that I subscribe to is if the eldritch entities in your head tell you to do things or call you stud muffin, don't listen to the eldritch entity in your brain. That's how you get turned into an Eldrazi. That's how you get turned into a false dreamer by the sixth house in the tribe unmourned, okay? Do you want to be an ash zombie? I didn't think so.
Don't you understand? It'll never let us go until we finish what we started.
Naturally, having not lost his fucking nut, Murphy isn't taken by the idea, to which Anne calmly and understandably responds by shooting him.
Fine.
We wake up in prison with the grotesque wheelchair creature staring at us.
Welcome home.
Murder's a mortal sin.
You don't recognize me.
Shit, the answers are before us, Murphy. It doesn't matter what you want. We allow ourselves to see them.
We still haven't answered questions. Why is this wheelchair monster haunting us? And why does Anne, the CO, hate us? Leaving our cell, we head out to find some answers. This is the final location of the game, and a natural location for Murphy to end up in, considering his criminal past.
I mean, all roads seem to lead back to prison for him.
Crossing a collapsed beam, we see visions of a prison riot. The same one Murphy was involved with at some point during his incarceration. While trying to find a way out, we get jumped by this guy. This is the
mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Last new enemy type, the prison juggernaut, a bigger, uglier version of the other big, ugly, jacked guy. There even appears to be a hierarchy where the juggernaut is in a higher position than the minions. There's a scene where he treats two minions like dogs before unleashing them on Murphy.
I mean, I feel like this is very Outlast, right? But I mean, obviously Outlast came out well after this, right? Like, this definitely, I mean, it fits the vibe, right? Like, think like any sort of like medical and a rehab facility, any prison facility. I mean, this fits right at home, right? This is definitely John Prison Enemy.
It would have been cool to see this power dynamic expanded upon a bit more. Like the Weepers, these guys take a lot to put down, so it's best to just avoid them when you can. Running deeper into the prison, we stumble across the CCTV room, which shows us more footage of the prison riot. Yeah, jump scare warning. Heading through a security checkpoint, we arrive at the prison workshop filled with different machines.
Oh, was Outlast really only a year after this? That's actually wild. My sense of time is absolutely broken.
Used to create license plates. Turning on these machines, they make the same sound we hear when the Void first starts chasing us. And that's something interesting to note. This area is a puzzle. We need to find the code for the door out, and the numbers can be found with a UV light on different pieces of machinery. You have to turn them on to get the plates moving, but in doing so, they make a bunch of noise, attracting endless waves of minions. Once you've grabbed all the numbers, we're able to leave, arriving in some sort of storage room, and once in, an unknown monster begins to break the door down, so we have to rush to escape. Unscrewing the vent and frantically crawling out with the camera shifting to the eyes of the monster as it hunts us down, it was a great moment of pure panic.
I like this though. This perspective shift is actually really cool. I mean, because yet again, he's also running from something he has no hope of actually fighting against, right?
Another fall. We see Murphy sat in the canteen with a group of monsters watching him. We have to open the security door to leave, but it's busted and opens slowly, meaning we have to loop around the tables until we can slip through.
There's a lot of timers in this area. A gate that takes time to open. The license plate section is just pseudo timers because infinite enemies does technically like Destiny, when Destiny 2 uses those mechanics in like raids and dungeons and stuff. Consistent, endless waves of enemies puts you on a timer. Eventually, you will run out of ammo. Eventually, run out of special, run out of heavy. Sure, primary is infinite, but you get my point, right? Eventually, you will be on cooldown. Eventually, you will run out of ammo, and eventually, you will get overwhelmed, right? If it takes you 30 minutes in a single boss fight to get there, yeah, but there is technically a timer. It's a timer. It's a little more generous and a little more malleable and plastic. That isn't a hard, countdown.
Fuck asshole, if only you knew how to turn sideways. Upstairs, Murphy enters a shower area. Not the same one he attacked Napier in, but it still seems to hold some relevance.
Oh. Someone dropped
It's a crime
the soap.
scene with different pieces of evidence scattered around. A shiv, a badge, and a black leather glove covered in blood. In the next room, we find a body wrapped in plastic, and after inspecting it, the world shifts to the nightmare.
Not the sinks.
This is the last chase in the game, and it's a doozy because you have to run around an actual maze of identical hallways to find the way out, all the while being attacked by the Void, spitting monsters, and roaming juggernauts. It's
I think the guillotines are a nice touch.
a frustrating section to be sure. Running along, we arrive.
It looks like they throw a little bit too much at you in this section. But it builds up to this.
Running along, we arrive on a large platform that slowly lowers, and if this isn't a setup for a combat arena, then I am not a miserable It stops on every floor, and the monsters will run out and attack, with the lift refusing to move until we've killed them.
It's the Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space 2 lift.
Once off, we walk onto a bridge and see this huge metallic vista. It's a great visual. I really like this nightmare area. I wish the game had created more scenes to this effect. Inside, we get yet more well-designed environments. The devs were really saving the best till last. This area reminds me a lot of The Evil Within for some reason, another game that I feel deserved far better than the lukewarm reception it received, especially the sequel, which I will go out on a limb to say is one of the best survival horrors I've played in recent years.
I heard the first one was great. I heard mixed reception on the second one. Haven't played it. I actually heard really good things about the first one.
What's it doing this time?
In this room, we have to use devices to flip between two versions of the same place. Using this mechanic, we're able to pass through blocked doors and even trap monsters in cages without having to fight them.
Cool.
We pass through a series of spinning blades before arriving in a large courtyard. It's filled with minions, too many to fight, so we have to use the spotlights to guide them into cages before locking them up, allowing us to pass through.
That's awesome. I love that.
We reach a basement area where we find a giant scale, requiring us to place the crime scene evidence we found earlier on the tray. Scales like these are often used to represent weighing the lives of dead people, specifically in ancient Egypt, where the dead's heart had to be weighed to see if they lived good lives. It seems likely that this scene was aiming for a similar metaphor. The doors open, and stepping in, we see the same wheelchair creature that's been plaguing us the entire game, except now it's huge and it wants to fight. This is the final boss of the game, and it's an interesting introduction. There was no cutscene to introduce it, you just walk into the room and it's game on. This large chamber contains 4 life support tubes, each one keeping the creature alive. To beat him, we have to pull him out. The monster is notably meek. It mainly attacks by throwing furniture at Murphy, and occasionally it will slam its fist down.
I mean, I think it's an interesting design to go with, because the final big bad is generally, you know, pretty powerful, pretty grotesque, right? It's pretty monstrous in general, right? And that's kind of just like, you know, a trope, right? Big bad generally fits its status, right? Ganondorf, Ocarina of Time, right? The hive mind from Dead Space, right? You know, Osman Sadler in Resident Evil 4, right? Wesker, RE5, right? Insert whatever here, right? But I mean, it definitely looks like pitiful, and there's definitely a power dynamic, I would argue, with the main character Murphy over this creature at the end. Although, to be fair, like, I have like beforehand knowledge of what this creature represents, so therefore I'm drawing my conclusion based on that. So I have a little bit of foresight because of watching videos like this before, to make these conclusions when we actually like go through for a reaction.
But we work our way through methodically, yanking out each tube until the final support line is pulled.
I think it's cool though. Neat set. Yeah, definitely unique.
After which, we see the game's final revelation.
Jeez, I'm glad it's just you. This thing is kicking off something fierce. I knew you'd be smart enough to steer clear of it.
What are you doing here?
Sewell told me to meet him here. You haven't seen him, have you? He ain't answering his radio.
This isn't what I agreed to.
What are you talking about? Agreed to what?
Tell him, Murph.
What's going on here, Sewell? Why didn't you answer the radio?
Should've learned to keep your big fucking mouth shut, Frank. Now my friend Murphy's gotta shut it for you.
Murphy, don't do this.
Come on, Murphy, you gonna keep your end of the bargain or not? Do it, you
Murphy.
son of a bitch!
No.
It turns out that as part of our bargain with Sewell, Murphy was asked to kill Frank. Sewell wanted him dead because Frank was planning on testifying against him for corrupt behavior.
He didn't die right away, you know. After you were done beating the life out of him, he spent years in that wheelchair. A fucking vegetable. Did you know that? And I had to watch this wonderful man shit and piss all over himself day after day after day. And every time I looked at him, you know what I saw?
Listen to me.
I saw a monster. I saw you.
Just calm down a minute.
In another interesting twist, it's revealed that Anne views us as the boogeyman because in her world, through her eyes, we represent everything she hates.
So actually going through this is really interesting. When we talk about people experiencing different things, we experienced our boogeyman or Murphy's boogeyman as, you know, revenge, being no different than Pugface Man, right? But she sees us as the boogeyman. It doesn't, very much Pyramid Head-esque, but it just doesn't hit the same notes. It's too tame, it's too forgettable, it's too bland, right? Like there's an idea here and I like it. They can't recapture the same thing Pyramid Head was. And in fact, it's a problem when they use Pyramid Head where Pyramid Head isn't supposed to be. See Homecoming.
Body her anger and vengeance. Now, in the form of the boogeyman, we have to track down and kill Anne.
What you did.
She'll shoot you and release different monsters from cells, but once you catch her, it's game over.
The physics.
Now we have a final choice, and the only one that directly changes what happens: kill her or spare her.
This very much comes down to, what do you do with your vengeance? What do you do with your revenge? Do you choose to get revenge? Do you choose to give in to your negative feelings? Or do you choose to stop? Do you choose, I guess the path of forgiveness is where I'm going for.
Sparing her, we drop the weapon, walking away for the game's final revelation.
No. I won't do it.
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
No!
Jesus, you're pathetic. What about Napier? The guy kills your boy. You go through all the trouble of getting yourself locked up with him, and what happens? I serve him to you like a fucking Christmas goose, and you can't even finish the job. No, I gotta go in there and finish the bastard off for you. I ask for one little favor in return.
Murphy, run!
And this is the thanks I get.
Frank!
Put your hands where I can see them.
It turns out that Murphy never killed anyone. It was Sewell all along. He killed both men and framed us for the murders.
Sorry, Frank.
It wasn't you.
By travelling through Silent Hill, Anne was able to overcome her hatred for Murphy and uncover the truth about her father, putting an end to her torment.
So sorry.
I forgive you.
The good ending is all kumbayas, hugs and kisses. Everyone is forgiven and Murphy is allowed to escape, declared dead by Anne.
We've located everyone except for one, Pendleton Murphy. You got a 20 on Pendleton, over.
Negative. Pendleton's dead. Over.
I don't know how this would fly. Like, this is the same thing in, like, Resident Evil 0, right? Because, what's his face? Was, declared, quote-unquote, legally, no longer with us, right? I mean, how does that work? I mean, I'm assuming they just, like, they go under a new identity, right? Like, the follow, like, it's cool to have this as a plot point, but I always ask about the follow-through. Like, what really is the follow-through here? Like, what happens if, they end up going to a hospital and, I don't know, dental records or something identifies them as person, right? I don't know. I feel like I think way too much about the continuity down the line than just appreciating it at the moment, personally.
Roger that.
You gonna be okay?
You better go.
I think maybe it's a bit too picture perfect. In the good ending, Murphy doesn't even kill Napier for murdering his son, he only injures him. There's no duality of character in this ending. In typical Silent Hill fashion though, there's more than one ending. In fact, there are 4 more. Your karma also affects which ending you get. Killing too many enemies will leave you with bad karma, which I find interesting. If a beast is trying to kill you, I don't think it's evil to kill them in return, but hey, I ain't the karma police.
I mean, yeah, I think that the reason why Silent Hill 2 worked is that regardless of whatever decision, James unfortunately smothered Mary, right? Like, regardless of what outcome you get, that action, without a shadow of a doubt, happened. I do kind of view this, and especially going into the other endings, I view this as instead of grappling with morality and duality, I feel it's very much treated as a build your own adventure, if that makes sense. So build your own adventure, right? If you have good karma and you spare her at the end, you get this good ending, right? If you have good karma and you don't spare her at the end, other thing happens, right? And it determines past events as well. So if you have good karma, right, through your playthrough, you could not have taken out what's his face. But if you don't have good karma, then suddenly you do, and like the worst ending, you're put to the chair, right? Spoiler. So I think, and it's hard to tell how much inspiration comes from the movies and how much comes from, like, the design philosophy is different, right? In 2, James, without a shadow of a doubt, did what he did to Mary. And he's suffering with that guilt. He's suffering with all of this guilt kind of just becomes invalidated, right? Because, sure, he's grappling with, injuring the dude, but he didn't game end him, right? So I feel like, yeah, it's treated as a build your own adventure versus grappling with the decisions you've made, because the decisions you made aren't set in stone, this being evidence of it.
To get ending B, truth and justice, you need to let Anne live, but have killed too many enemies. This ending plays out much like the good ending. They both escape, and they go their separate ways.
Where are you going?
There's someplace I gotta be.
Except instead of forgiving and moving on with her life, Anne heads back to the prison to confront Sewell.
Hey, What are you doing back here so soon, sweetheart? Can't get enough of the place. The hell's this?
You used to work with my father, Frank Coleridge.
Yeah? So?
We need to talk.
We can assume she plans on killing him here, that she's going down the same path of vengeance as Murphy, a reflection of the unnecessary killing by the player during their playthrough. In Ending C, full circle, you have to choose to kill Anne, but have good karma.
I'm sorry, Frank.
Very much comes across as bad end run the game again.
After trying to take his life, he wakes up in his cell the exact same way he had earlier. In this ending, it seems like Murphy is doomed to repeat everything endlessly, unable to learn from his previous mistakes.
This very much is Silent Hill 2 status, right? Where paths will lead James back into Silent Hill unless he gets the good ending, right? I mean, it's very on the nose, but you can see the inspiration.
I can't even tell you how long it's been, just spinning record after record after record. Hoping someone...
And we're the ones who decide if we can live with what we've done.
Wait, stop! This is all wrong. Please, stop!
Ending D, Execution, is achieved by having bad karma and killing Anne at the end. In this version of events, it's revealed that Murphy killed his son by drowning him and murdered Frank during the prison riot.
Like, I just, like, it's not even, like, subtle. Like, those are massive differences. And it changes the way you, it depending on the ending you get, changes the way you look at Murphy, just in its entirety, right? This ending right here, compared to, say, the good ending, it's night and day. How are you as the audience supposed to, like, empathize and level with a character that just has such a disparity like that? Like, that I think that's the part that sticks out to me.
The couple had divorced 4 years earlier, and prosecutors believe Pendleton drowned his son Charlie in retaliation for his ex-wife seeking sole custody. More recently, Pendleton was tried and convicted for the murder of decorated officer Frank Coleridge during a Ryle State prison riot, which expedited Pendleton's execution sentence amidst public furor.
This is it, Pendleton. Any last words?
Yeah. I'll see you in hell.
I mean, I guess at this point, it's allegations. You could maybe headcanon it as, you know, Sewell being a corrupt cop was able to pin these charges on him to lead to the chair, right? Like, I mean, you could still view him as, you know, you could effectively view him as being framed, right? But it is still just a disparity.
Cupcake.
I guess this ending is meant to imply that Napier was just in Murphy's head as a way to shift the blame. It's a pretty standard bad guy ending. He did the crime. He's so evil. The next ending is kind of a hidden one that you would only unlock by being really shit at the game. To get it, when we're chasing down Anne, instead of hitting her, we have to just follow her all the way up and let her kill us. In this ending, because she was unable to discover the truth, she's never able to overcome her personal suffering. Instead, the roles are reversed, and as punishment, she has to live in this nightmare.
Come on. Rise and shine, you know the drill.
What? Where am I? What's going on?
Guess today's the big day, huh? Tell you the truth, I'm sort of sorry to see you go.
The final ending is an Easter egg that you can only unlock in your second playthrough. You'll be able to complete a new quest called Digging Up the Past in New Game Plus. You have to run all around Silent Hill, digging up these shallow graves to find relics of the previous Silent Hill games, like a broken radio or a Robbie Rabbit doll.
I mean, It's cool to see things like this.
It's so worth it though, because it unlocks the best Easter egg ending in any game. It even rivals the dog ending of Silent Hill 2. In this ending, we see Murphy digging his way out of the prison, only to encounter this surprise.
Such a shame. Here be monsters again. Here be monsters again. Surprise!
Oh, you guys.
Like, I think Pyramid here is fine. Like, this doesn't actually happen, right? This is an Easter egg, right? Something like this is perfectly fine. When you make him the boogeyman of Homecoming, that's when I start to have issues, right? Like, this is good, though. This is art. It's self-aware.
What a lovely tribute to the series. All the main players are there. James, Heather, the music is perfect here as well. I love this vibe of music. It's like upbeat melancholy. I don't know how else to describe it. It's called Here Be Monsters by Ed Harcourt, and I'll leave a link to the song in the description if you want to listen to it yourself. It was a great choice of track by the developers. I think what makes it even sadder in a way, this was the last Silent Hill game. It's like an ending for the franchise with everyone there, a final send-off.
I don't see anyone from 4 here, unless I'm missing it. I was expecting to see, what's her face? The nurse from 1, who was incentivized, quote unquote, to treat Alessa. Right? I would have expected to see her here. Dahlia missing makes sense, because Dahlia. But I don't think I see anyone from 4 as well. But to be fair, they did, in the good ending, kind of escape Silent Hill, right? The escape ending. I mean, regardless of missing cast. I mean, this is... It's a sad final entry, right? And then we have, gotcha games. We have, or the Silent Hill, what is it, the Pachinko or whatever. Like, it's sad. It is really sad to kind of see the end of an era, so to speak.
Such a shame.
On the whole, Downpour is a great game. It's not perfect and it has some big flaws, but it's got a lot of heart. In my opinion, the biggest issue with the game is its inability to really scare or disturb the player. That sense of dread and horror the previous games mastered is completely missing from this game. If they had pushed the boat out and created more enemies similar to the doll, or even the giant wheelchair creature, it would have left a far greater impact. The ambient music and sound design were also lacking. It's not awful, it's just nothing special. It doesn't have that unsettling energy that the games were known for. The depiction of the town itself is fantastic. The smaller self-contained story is captivating and the plot isn't half bad to boot, even if it is a little predictable. If they had just managed to capture a more horrific ambience, I think it would have been up there with the best of them. There are moments of greatness here where you can see exactly what they were going for, and with just a small number of reworks, I think they could have been there. I really wish they would release a PC collection with every game playable. I'd buy that shit in a heartbeat. Sadly, the developers, they were declared bankrupt in the years following this game's release. They'd only worked on one title before being given the rights to Downpour. I'm not exactly sure how they won the rights to such a massive IP, given how new they were as a development team, but I think they gave it a cracking shot.
I think this is mirrored. I don't know. I don't even want to say it's a 1-to-1, right? Like how we have like Halo, the TV show, right? Would have been great, I hear. I didn't watch it personally. Would have been a great show if it just wasn't a Halo show, right? Insert, how many things seem like they're just tax write-offs, and this would have been a great, standard IP, like its own standalone thing. But the fact that you attach a brand name to this kind of makes it seem a little lesser, right? But I think that might be comparing apples to oranges, right? I think the causes are a little different.
We get to see more from the world of Silent Hill. Konami need to stop being greedy dicks and just sell the rights. They're not using it. Yeah. In fact, they're abusing it. Give it to my boy Kojima. He'll do it proud. I mean, he's already made the fucking game, so it's only fair he's allowed to finish his work. Until then, we just have to keep on replaying the old games and hoping. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I think that is my issue as well with IP squatting, is it's like I get it. Stuff takes time to develop, right? Stuff takes time to get going, to make, right? And sometimes things don't come to fruition, right? See how many movies Netflix has had to cancel, right? Which I still don't understand why we reward that behavior. Like, oh, well, they almost did it. Yeah, they still didn't do the thing, right? But it's like, I don't know. I have such issues with IP squatting because it's like, if you're not doing anything with it, like you got to do something with it, right? Allegedly, Lord of the Rings did War of the Rohirrim because I guess they needed to do something to keep the rights. I can't substantiate that, but it would make a lot of sense. It's been about 2 hours. I thought this was only going to be about an hour and a half, so hopefully that met your guys' expectations in terms of reaction length. I honestly really love it. I love going through stuff like this. It's very cool to go through some of these things. I don't know. I get a pull every now and again. Silent Hill calls, and I'll go ahead and just watch Totally Pointless TV. And now Sphere Hunter as well. Sphere Hunter's been doing some really great work on it. So it's been very interesting to compare and contrast their conclusions to my own conclusions, seeing how it augments my understanding and perception, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, Silent Hill's one of those, unfortunately, it's not a series for everybody, right? Like I talked about Silent Hill 4 and the Sphere Hunter reaction being just a great game, but it not being a game that I really could recommend because of the subject material, because of a lot of the dark duality that you deal with. Excuse me. Just a lot of hard content for people, but if you are interested, I mean, there's clearly wonderful videos on this platform, and as well as a lot of the games are accessible. Unfortunately, you run into issues with some of the older games. As he says, wish there was a Silent Hill PC collection. Like, dude, please. Like, I would love to play Silent Hill 1. Resident Evil, through Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 on Steam, they were already on GOG, right? But, like, I guess those have their own issues because of the anti-cheat that Capcom is pushing in it right now, which is making it a worse experience. But that's beside the point. There's a lot to love about this series, and a lot of really cool people who do a lot of really cool deep dives and analysis on this. And I think that this was a wonderful video. Can't wait to tackle Homecoming. Thank you everyone for watching. Really do appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if this maybe shifted your perspective on Downpour. Maybe there's something in this, maybe viewing it as a build your own story versus something in the context of Silent Hill 2, and especially being based off the understanding that this definitely is geared more towards the movies. Maybe that was a perspective shift that maybe changed something for you. But let me know what you guys think in the description down below. Let me know what your thoughts on Downpour are. And definitely go check out Totally Pointless TV, especially if you're not. As always, links are in the description. I will see you in the next time.